We're now going to welcome in Ronan O'Shea for his segment on IU men's basketball. Ronan, thanks for being here. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about the injury to Callaway and the effect it's had on the team.
Well, I think it's done a couple things, both good and bad. Let's start with the negative, though. Without question, it hurts not having a senior guard on the court. Primarily this year, he's been running the offense, kind of the go-to guy in leading the offense out onto the court, and it hurts not having him out there. He leads the team in free throw percentage. He also leads the team in steals, and he's really a vocal leader. He's been now through 2 coaching staffs, and a lot of the younger guys on the team look up to him, especially Armand Bassett. More on that here in just a moment. It's also forcing other guys to receive significant playing time, most notably Eric Suhr. He's got a role on this team, however, it is taking charges. He's not an offensive threat. He's clearly overmatched defensively. He's seeing a little bit too much playing time, I think, trying to make up for not having the senior guard on the court. The good stuff, though, Armand Bassett is getting significant playing time, and he's making the most of it. He's the future guard here with this team, responded with 25 points in that game against Michigan State, a career high for him, and the protege for Earl Callaway, is getting a lot of minutes and playing well, and I think that that's a good thing coming out of it. They'll be all right. He'll certainly be back by the time the Big Ten tournament rolls around, but it's giving Armand Bassett a time to shine, and he's certainly making the most of it.
All right, well, let's talk about IU's struggles on the road. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. The Hoosiers just didn't get that big win on the road. They still have one against Northwestern, but how hurtful is this to their resume?
Oh, no question, it hurts the team. They've done everything you can possibly do from the non-conference schedule and playing well at home. They've done that point up to this year, but they've just been unable to close out games on the road. They've had winnable games at Iowa, at Michigan. They were leading by 10 points, if you recall, at halftime against Michigan State, but they stumbled down the stretch. Their only win on the road in the Big Ten at Penn State, anybody can win there. Their only win on the road otherwise, a good non-conference victory at UConn. It's a concern because right now, if you look at the standings, they're behind Illinois. Now, they've got the tiebreaker over the Illini, but this is a team which we said a couple weeks on the show, clearly in a different tier than the other teams in the conference. If they can't win on the road, then they go in the same boat as Michigan State, Illinois, and Purdue. They're going to run into trouble at the United Center for the Big Ten tournament. Who knows where they're going to be for most of March, but the inability to win on the road has to be the #1 concern. It's not going to get easy at Northwestern. Keep in mind, this is a team which hasn't played very well in the Big Ten at home, just 1-7, but they've played very well against Wisconsin at home and very well against Purdue at home. A young team hungry to finish off their home portion of the season well. They are going to give Indiana a run for their money Wednesday night at Welsh Ryan Arena.
All right, well, we're only a few days away from the big senior day against Penn State. We have 3 seniors on this team, 2 of which who have been here for all 4 years, the other Earl Callaway, who transferred from JUCO. Let's talk a little bit about Eric Suhr and Rod Wilmot, who've been through a coaching change, and they've really had a lot of ups and downs with all the Mike Davis drama.
Well, without question, Chris, the seniors have done a lot for this team going through that coaching change. And not only is this a young team with a couple freshmen on it, but this is an inexperienced Big Ten team. You look at guys like Mike White and Lance Stemler coming over from junior colleges and trying to get used to it. They've relied so heavily upon these seniors. Eric Suhr is the heart and soul of Indiana basketball. When you think of Hoosiers basketball, he's one of the guys that comes to mind. He's a fan favorite. He plays well. He takes the charges. He plays the game right. I think that he's done a lot for some of the younger guys on this team. Earl Callaway, I talked about, just a moment ago. He's been through the coaching changes. He has been a leader for the young guys, especially Armand Bassett, and he's done everything that's been asked of him this year. Then Roderick Wilmot, a guy who has really struggled, I think, in his career here at Indiana University. He buckled down this year. I think he's a perfect example of what Coach Kelvin Sampson has done with some of the guys this year. The biggest complaint with him coming into the year is that he's not a very smart basketball player, but very athletic. I think we've seen that change over the course of the year. I know he's looking forward to his senior speech at Assembly Hall on Saturday, but without question, a young team, they've relied on the seniors, and Coach Sampson has done a great job molding them into the leaders that you want.
Obviously, all those guys have been through some great experiences while they've been here at IU. Certainly this year with the coaching change and upsetting Wisconsin at home in front of all their great fans. Let's go through the good, the bad, and the ugly of this season. Take us back through some of your special and not so special moments of this year.
I think without question the good has to be the victory against Wisconsin at the end of January. A 4-point victory over the #2 team in the country solidified that Coach Kelvin Sampson has won over everybody on this campus. It was an unbelievable atmosphere, and it was good to see the Hoosiers knock off a premier team at home. Of course, I don't think any of us are going to forget all the fans running out onto the court. The bad has to be the play on the road this year, most notably that game at Purdue. A lot of people were thinking Indiana could make a legitimate chance to win that game on the road at Purdue. They ended up getting beat up, their biggest loss margin of the year on the road, and embarrassed in front of those annoying fans up there. As for the ugly, it has to be all this crap going on at Assembly Hall this year. Cheerleaders barking at fans, the wave going around. As far as I'm concerned, Assembly Hall is the best place to see college basketball in the country. And if a cheerleader ever tells me to get up and cheer, yelling into a microphone, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm tired of it, and I think that has to stop. Assembly Hall is without question above that.
All right, Ronan. Well, thanks for coming in again. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the next few weeks as the season winds down.
It's never too early to look ahead to the looming madness of March, and the Big Ten is looking to get 4, possibly 5 spots in the tournament. But which teams will be dancing and which will be hanging out by the punch bowl with Northwestern or stamping entrance hands with Penn State? Let's take a look at the conference contenders. Heavyweights Wisconsin and Ohio State are obviously in and staring down #1 seeds as they've fought for national supremacy all season long. Then there's a bit of a drop-off to the 3rd spot held by Illinois. Now, despite the recent skid, IU's record speaks for itself, with wins over Wisconsin, Michigan State, Illinois, and UConn. Just too many quality wins despite that ugly 3-8 road record. Year 1 of the Kelvin Sampson era will leave the Hoosiers dancing. Michigan State also appears to be invited to the party with 22 wins, including statement games over Texas, Wisconsin, and recently our Hoosiers. Despite an ugly 1-6 road record and a blowout loss to Purdue, Izzo and company will be there when you fill out your bracket. In the muddy waters of the middle of the Big Ten lies Purdue, Illinois, and Michigan. The Wolverines are in bubble trouble yet again with a lack of quality wins, and Illinois might need a run in the conference tourney to strengthen their resume. However, it's those dastardly Boilermakers that appear to have the strongest case for a 5th Big Ten entrant to the dance. Despite losses to Indiana State and Minnesota, they picked up wins down the stretch over IU and Michigan State, and like the rest of us, they're sure to be watching the year-end conference tournaments closely to see how many of those precious at-large bids will be left for the taking.
Indiana will give it another go on Wednesday as they try to win only their 2nd road game in Big Ten play. They'll be up in Evanston for a matchup with second to last place in the Big Ten, Northwestern. The Wildcats are just 2-12 in the conference and 13-15 overall, with their only Big Ten wins coming against Minnesota and Penn State. Indiana has only 2 games remaining, including the final game of the season at home against the Nittany Lions. IU and Northwestern will face off on Wednesday night at 7 on ESPN2. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on Hoosier Sports Night. Make sure you come back because a Big Ten champ was crowned in the men's basketball world.